I'm Greg Srivastava with Deepest Dream. Pleasure to meet you both.
As are you.
Hi, Greg. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. So, first off, no address. After watching this movie, I'm going to watch the documentary. So it's great because you have these two projects that can pretty much merge together. First off, Lucas, was that why you wanted to be part of this project? Because it's not just a straight narrative; it's an immersive experience and insight to this look at homelessness and just humanity.
Absolutely. Seeing the documentary being made alongside this film headed by Julia, I really do feel like there was an approach to the realism that was necessary when tackling this.
And Julia, can you just talk about that ambition? Two projects. I'm sure it took you a couple of years to just get it done. What was the key in making sure you got to the finish line for both projects?
Well, I come from a background of social impact filmmaking, and I'm very passionate about using film to raise awareness on key social issues. I've tackled teen trafficking, domestic violence, and some other issues previously. So when I saw the growth of the number of people on our streets during the pandemic, I just couldn't get this idea out of my head. And I'm a great believer in using narrative to engage interest and then having a documentary as educational follow-up, because people will watch a documentary once they're interested in a topic. But a narrative feature can have the ability to get an audience interested in a topic and go a little bit deeper and watch a documentary and get a little bit more informed. So that was my goal with this.
And Lucas, on your acting journey, what is your thoughts on social impact filmmaking? Because it's rare and few and far between. I'm pretty much glad that movies like this exist. Do you feel the same way, not just as an actor, but also as a movie watcher?
Absolutely. I mean, I feel that representing a group of people that are very often underrepresented is very important in changing the way that we have our infrastructure set up to support them. I saw work that Julia had done prior to this film that very much hit that on the head. And I was very excited to be part of a film that was attempting to reach an audience through a piece of fiction informed by, real people's experiences.
I guess maybe this is a question for both of you, just both of your research into homelessness. And I'm in LA, so I know I've been there. And my thing is I'm engaging with this narrative, and eventually your documentary, it really made me think on how I approach it as a human being. Is that what did you both learn during this journey about homelessness, about engaging with people in this subject matter, and how did it inform both of your lives?
Do you want to start?
Sure. I'm very much the type of person who talks to everybody and anybody, and when I was interviewing people on the streets that were actually experiencing homelessness, it's very important that you always approach everybody with the utmost of respect and realize that you're their space. This is their home, so you need to ask before you enter. And one of the big factors that was keeping a lot of people on the streets is shame. And I think shame gets people stuck where they are. And I think we as a society need to help them to let go of the shame around this issue and the situation. And we can do that by simply smiling when we see someone, just asking how they are, acknowledging them, seeing them as a human being. Like there was one woman who, when I hugged her, she started crying, and she said, "You're the first person that's spoken to me like a human being for a long time. Usually people look away, look down on me, and I just feel like I'm useless and hopeless." And that really struck a chord with me.
On striking a chord, Lucas, Jimmy's a great guy. It's very connected to family, and he's more thinking about the other person than his own welfare. Did you relate to that character as far as where you are on your journey as an actor?
That's a very
big as well.
Yeah, that's a very astute observation. Jimmy was very heavily focused on other people's well-being and struggled with supporting himself. And that was part of one of the reasons why he ended up in the situation he was, struggling with housing, because he needed the sense of community that he wasn't getting in his home. And I think that's very relatable to a lot of people, on a spectrum, for sure. To add to what Julia was saying, I think a lot of people will ignore the suffering of individuals experiencing homelessness and dehumanize their experience. And it stems from a notion that people are choosing to not have the drive to fend for themselves or take care of themselves when there's an incapacity in the system to provide mental health support, PTSD, for drug addiction, for all of these things that people suffer from that go under-acknowledged. And like Julia was saying, when we went out, particularly an instance where we went out to one of the longest stretches of homeless encampments in America, in Sacramento, and it hit me really hard to see the way that people were glossed over in their day-to-day lives, just kind of ignored. And I influenced the character of Jimmy with a couple individuals that I met in Chicago, actually, because again, homelessness is an issue that spreads much further than where we shot this film. And yeah, his sense of family, his sense of community was something that, in the end, he was able to extend that level of care to himself, but only through healing and helping other people in community.
My final question is, when both of you come across people who have a callous disregard for people who are unhoused, and both of you are faith in action, work in action, you're working towards this, what is that? How do you guys respond to that? Because I would not know how to respond to that kind of dehumanization, the attitude towards this.
I can't pretend that I had to suffer that injustice personally firsthand. So I had to do a lot of research and empathizing with people who have. I have to lend respect to the fact that I have the privilege of having grown up in a really whole household. And I've known people who weren't that fortunate and really had to draw inspiration from that to do this film, because otherwise, it's owed that respect of authenticity.
I think one of the big things why we're still stuck in this situation with homelessness all across America is that we have this not in our backyard philosophy going on, and at the end of the day, it just comes from ignorance, and people don't mean to be like that, but it's a lack of understanding, I think, that causes it. Because yes, there are a lot of people with mental health issues on the street. There's a lot of people with drug and alcohol addiction on the streets. But those people need help and proper treatment for those issues. But there are also a lot of regular human beings who are just stuck on the streets through bad luck. Look at what's just happened in California with the fires, right? How many people have lost their homes unexpectedly, right? So my hope, and the reason why I made this film, is that it will give a bit of an understanding to the complexity of this issue, that there are many different types of people on the streets, and they all needed to be treated on an individual basis and given appropriate treatment. And we as a society have to somehow come together and fix this problem.
Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. For more movie and television reviews and interviews, please subscribe to my Deepest Dream channel. Like, comment, share, subscribe. And as always, thanks so much for your support. Take care.